So, you're tackling IB biology. And yeah, we all know it's a beast. But what if I told you there's a proven strategy to turn that mountain of content into a clear path to getting a 7? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down today.
First things first, if you're feeling that pressure, you are definitely not alone. IB biology is notoriously challenging. It's not just the sheer volume of stuff to learn, it's how they expect you to apply all that knowledge. Look, the stress is real, but I promise you it is absolutely manageable.
And that's our mission here. We are going to build your personal roadmap. Step by step, we're going to go from feeling buried under a pile of notes to walking into that exam room feeling confident and totally in control.
Okay, our journey starts with the long game. You know, the students who really find exam prep easiest are the ones who build strong, consistent habits over the entire 2 years. This isn't a sprint, right? This is the marathon.
So, what do these habits actually look like in practice? Well, it really boils down to this: being an active and, honestly, a really honest learner right from day one. This means you've got to find a note-taking style that actually clicks for you. It means admitting early on what you don't get and always being on the lookout for how different topics connect. It's all about making practice a normal, everyday thing, not some last-minute panic session.
Let's really zero in on that idea of making connections because it's so important. When you see a concept, let's say hydrogen bonding, pop up again in a totally new unit, don't just gloss over it. Flag it. Seriously, stick a post-it on it, make a digital comment, whatever you need to do. When you do this, you're not just memorizing isolated facts, you're building this incredible web of knowledge that's going to be so powerful later on.
And speaking of scoring points, understanding command terms is an absolute game changer. Answering a question that says explain is completely different from one that says analyze. Learning what the IB specifically means by these words is, well, it's like getting a cheat sheet for the mark scheme. You'll know exactly what kind of answer they're looking for.
All right, so you've run the marathon. You've been building that strong foundation. Now it's time for the final push. This is your strategic exam prep. This is where we consolidate everything you've learned. The magic number here? 12. 12 weeks. Starting your focused revision about 3 months out from the exam gives you a timeline that's totally manageable. It gives you room to breathe, letting you cover, 3 or 4 subunits a week without ever feeling like you're panicking. Now, let's talk about the quality of your review, because honestly, this might be the most important part. Passive review, stuff like just rereading your notes, it feels productive, right? But the information just doesn't stick. The goal is active review. You have to force your brain to pull that information out. So don't just look at a diagram of a cell, close the book, and try to redraw it from memory. That little bit of struggle, that's your brain actually building stronger connections. That's where the real learning happens.
So, your weekly plan should look something like a cycle. You actively review a topic, you fill in any gaps you find with a great resource like BioNinja, and then, this is key, you immediately test yourself with practice questions for that unit. And what's so great about this is that the process itself naturally shows you your weak spots. It tells you exactly where you need to focus your energy.
Okay, we are in the home stretch now. This is the final and, frankly, the most critical stage of preparation. This is the dress rehearsal. This is where we go from just knowing the content to truly mastering the exam itself.
For the final 2 to 3 weeks, your focus should shift completely. Think of it as your new full-time job, working through official past papers. Now, you do have to be a little careful here and be aware of any syllabus changes so you know which questions might not be relevant anymore. But the goal is simple: simulate the real exam experience over and over again. You know that awful feeling in an exam where you're watching the clock tick down? Yeah, we want to get rid of that. The solution is to practice with a stopwatch. You want to get these numbers burned into your brain, about 1.6 minutes for every mark on paper 1 and just a little bit more on paper 2. If you train with these times, the pacing will become second nature.
Okay, so you finished a practice test. You are not done, not even close. In fact, the most important work is just beginning. Don't just look at what you got wrong. You have to figure out why. Was it a content gap? Did you just completely blank on topic 2? Or are you maybe struggling with all the analyze questions? That analysis becomes your new, super focused study plan.
So let's pull all of this together. If you kind of zoom out and look at the big picture, this entire strategy, it's really built on just a few core ideas.
And you can see how these all connect, right? They're not just separate tips, they're a system. The good habits you build early on make that active practice possible. That practice then creates the mistakes that become your best teachers, and analyzing those mistakes is what lets you be strategic with your time. Getting a 7 isn't magic.
It's not even just about working hard, it's about working smart, with a system.
So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with one final question. You don't have to do everything all at once, but based on everything we just talked about, what's the one single habit that you can start doing right now? Just pick one. Start today. And that's it. You're already on the path. You've got this.